to Clicking Balls, episode 24.
24-ish.
24-ish, somewhere around there. We've had a few crammed in lately, but we're doing a little build-up to UFC Adelaide, especially with UFC just being legalised in Melbourne and Australia being relatively new to the mixed martial arts scene, especially with UFC being here.
Certainly at this level of profile.
Yeah, we're all BJJ practitioners, so we thought we'd get some information out there for people who are interested in mixed martial arts but just aren't sure who the fighters are on the card. So we've done some research and we're going to tell you what to expect from the fighters and what sort of style they'll do and give you a good understanding of how these fights are likely to go.
Yeah, hopefully this will be your guide to watching it if you're new to the game. And if you're old to the game, just don't give away that we're talking shit.
Yeah, don't call us out.
All right, we'll start with, we'll go from the bottom of the card to the top.
Yeah.
And we'll start with, I've got to get this name. Alptekin Özkılıç. I've got a Turkish mate. I should give him a call.
Yeah.
And versus Ben Nguyen. Down at the bottom of the card, sometimes you get some up-and-comers and some unknowns. And you'd say that these guys, first fight in the UFC for both of them, I think.
Yeah.
But you might know Ben Nguyen already.
Yeah.
Ben Nguyen had a 20-second KO against a young lad with a lot of tattoos all over his face, who was a little bit aggressive at the weigh-ins. And this fight actually took place 12 months ago. But it came, well, I saw it on Reddit a month ago, and everybody jumped on board on Ben Nguyen and became an instant fan favourite.
Yeah, it was Jules Jackal, I think.
There you go.
His name was.
I say an instant fan favourite. It took 12 months. But
yeah.
I think off the back of that, he got noticed online and he jumped on board and everyone loved him.
Yeah.
And he got a contract with the UFC out of it. So it's a real good news story.
Yeah, he's had one fight since that one against Reece McLaren, who was actually Australian, and got a decision after 5 rounds.
So gone the distance too.
Yeah.
So he's a Vietnamese American now living in Australia.
Yep. So I mean, we've got plenty of Viet brothers in Adelaide and Melbourne and all across Australia. So we've got a favourite for you too. We've even brushed up on a little bit of Viet for you as well.
Get into it.
Tung Loi Ve Vang. That means hope you win victoriously, Benny. So there you are, brother.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
This is in the flyweight division. So that's one of the lowest. Is that the lowest that the men fight in the UFC?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Anyway, so generally on the flyweights, you expect lots of flurries, lots of fast action, and they're going to go hell for leather.
Yeah. They're pretty much ninjas in a cage, more or less.
So don't expect many slow moments, especially for these two trying to make their mark on the big stage. They'll also be going for bonus monies, I reckon, here.
Yeah, and they'll be first off the rank for this card, so get there early. I'm not sure if they still have them as Facebook prelims if you're not watching live.
More than likely, I think.
They're all on Fight Pass anyway, so make sure get in early and watch these fights because we've got some good Australian talent, and it's important if we want mixed martial arts to flourish in Australia. We support these people and really get to know them.
Yeah, well, if you paid your ticket, get there early and get all the fights in.
Yeah.
Especially Ben, because, like I said, he's going to be a fan favourite.
Yeah.
We'll adopt him. We'll call him Australia's own.
Yep, exactly.
He's lived here for long enough.
Yep. I mean, if he does a good showing, we've got Melbourne coming up. So
exactly right. And actually, that's important for all Australians on the card.
Yep.
Is that they want to put on a big show so that they come back again for the big one in November.
And especially the UFC, they need Melbourne to be a huge success. So this card is going to be one to look out for.
It's going to be a big one.
And so this is like a little put the toes in the water and see what sort of talent we've got. And we've got talent there, and you've got to support them and understand what style they've got and get behind them.
Yeah. So we've got Ben Nguyen versus the Turkish Delight. You got to pick.
Well, I've got to go for Benny.
You got to go for Benny.
How can you not?
Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen any of the Turkish Delight's fights except for online.
Yep.
He looks all right, but you got to go for the fan favourite for this one.
And this flyweight division, trust me, you can't blink with these fights. It'll be non-stop.
Okay, fight number 2 for the night in the welterweight division. We got our first Australian on Australian action.
Yep.
So we got Vic Grujic. How'd I go?
Not bad. Grujic
versus Brendan O'Reilly. So we got a bit of the old stager and the young stager. Well, I say young, he's 27.
Yeah.
Vic's 38, but still going strong. I mean, he's a fit unit.
Yeah, exactly. And Vic, all heart, fighting out of Alliance MMA in Epping in Melbourne. actively campaigning on Twitter to get the fights that he wants, trying to stay active and try and build his way up in the welterweight division. So expect him to be hungry and just from beginning to end, just pushing the action.
Very popular in the Australian fight scene.
He is. He's a stalwart of MMA in Australia.
Yeah.
So
he's had a few UFC fights, and he's gone win loss since joining UFC.
Yep.
So he's due for a win in this one.
Yep. And it's going to be tough because Brendan he's sort of on the up, and he's not as well known as Vic in sort of with his UFC career.
No.
But very talented, fighting out of Gamebred submission up in Brisbane.
So Queensland boy, yeah. Lost his first UFC fight, which is his last fight.
Yeah, it was against Li Peng Zhang, and it was in China, and it was a tough matchup, but there wasn't a whole lot of action going on. Li Peng, lots of decisions. Lost a 3-round decision, so he wouldn't be too disheartened by that.
Yeah, first loss of his career though. So first loss of his career, also first loss in the UFC. In the UFC,
yeah.
So he wouldn't want to put 2 losses together to start off his UFC career.
And so expect this one to be just both men are going forward, and both men have got something to prove.
Absolutely. There's I don't expect much defense in the first.
Yeah,
first round.
Exactly right.
If it goes to the ground, I'm probably going to give the advantage to Brendan there.
Yeah.
Yep. But and that's my pick for the fight. I think Brendan's going to get it over.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. If it gets to the ground, look for Brendan to have a attacking guard looking to secure the back. He's got a couple of wins. I think a couple by a rear naked choke. So proficient on the ground. Knows what he's doing. But look at Vic. He's a beast, man. Look at him.
Won't give up.
Yeah. Look at him throwing punches straight down the pipe, pushing the action, possibly looking to maintain dominance on top and some ground and pound.
Yeah. Again, 2 Australians fighting in Australia. They're going to give it all. It won't be boring at all.
The winner will be Australia.
Yes. Fight number 3 on the card. We got our first of 2 women's fights for the night.
Yep.
We got the local Alex Chambers Astro Girl versus Kailin Curran.
I'm a huge Astro Boy fan as a kid.
Yeah,
my favorite cartoon. So automatically got me as a fan.
Got in
that,
absolutely.
and I'm fascinated by space and all that cool shit. And
well, you should explain.
Yeah, Alex Chambers, Astro Girl. She is legit freaking astrophysicist.
So, I mean, there goes your misconception that all, these fighters are all thugs and stuff like that. We've got a legit astrophysicist who's decided to turn a hand at punching people.
Yeah, she could be figuring out how we're going to transverse the whole universe. Wants to punch other bitches in the face.
Wants to throw triangles up. That's the thing.
Respect.
Training out of V1 in Sydney. We know a few guys out of there, so it's a great club.
A couple, yep. Good people.
Very all-round, well-rounded. Facing Kailin, who I haven't seen fight before, but we've done a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And her first UFC fight was a loss to the popular Paige Van Zandt.
Yeah.
But she went to the 3rd round.
Yeah, and it was TKO, so refs jumped in and said that's enough, that'll do it. And I mean, you can't really take that away from her because Paige has gone on and had another fight and another couple of fights and one fight and then done well. So
done very well. Yeah.
So she might have been beat up after that loss, but considering how it's all played out, she wouldn't be too beat up and she'd be looking to really strengthen that and say maybe I got beat that one, but I've learnt and here I am to push it.
Yeah, they're both. Their last fights for both of them were a loss, and their first fights in the UFC. Yep. So again, looking to make a name for themselves. Alex is also giving up, I think, 14 years.
I think about that,
something like that as well.
Yeah.
So let's say she's got experience on her side.
Yep.
But she's got 3 wins by KO or submission.
Yep.
And Kailin doesn't have any yet. She has 3 decision wins.
Yep.
So if it goes the distance, you're going to put it on Kailin, I think. But I'm back in Astro Girl to get this one done.
Yeah, me too. I'm on Astro Girl's team and look to try and finish around the 2nd, I think.
I was about to say, I reckon through the 2nd round, we'll get down to the ground and she'll get stopped.
That's what I was thinking. I think there'll be pressure on the first one, just trying to move forward, clean, crisp striking, just give her something to think about. And the 2nd round where she'll attack, put it on the back and try and close it out.
We want the local to get up in this one. So, all aboard the Astro Girl hype train.
You'll probably notice a common theme in this podcast. We're going to go for local ones, and
always go for the local.
If you think we don't know what we're talking about, I've actually got a Sherdog membership with the March 2004 sign-in date. So right there and there.
So there you go.
Respect, motherfuckers. Right?
All right, fight number 4. We got the first. This is the first Ashes.
Yep.
Of the night. We got England versus Australia.
We're claiming Australia.
Well, he's living in Queensland. He's Australian,
and like all good New Zealanders with talent, he ups and moves to the Gold Coast.
So we got Dylan the Villain Andrews versus Brad Scott. Dylan Andrews is he's had a few fights in the UFC, but he's coming out of 2 losses. 2 losses in a row.
Yeah, 2 in a row. Yeah.
You certainly wouldn't want 3 on your record.
Yeah, he came into the UFC via Ultimate Fighter. It wasn't on the Ashes or the Nations one. He was in the American one. Was an underdog. I think he actually might have got picked last in the Ultimate Fighter. No one expected much from him, but he made it to the semi-finals.
Semis, I think. Yeah,
he was. He got beat by I can't remember who it was. But lots of heart.
Yep.
And a bit of an inside tip. You can pretty much bet that he's going to be a fan favourite down in Adelaide.
Absolutely.
He grew up in a grow house in New Zealand, and Adelaide's a weed capital of Australia, so fans will be right on his side, I reckon.
I think so. He's like you're saying, he's fearless. He's going to be pushing the action all the way through.
And you look at his past fights; he's come off 2 losses. One was a doctor stoppage to Clint Hester, who's he was on the same series of Ultimate Fighter, and he's a stand-up, bang him sort of fighter. Great fight it was. It was stopped by a doctor after the 2nd round, and then he's coming off a loss to Smiling Sam Alvey.
Smiling Sam, who's also fighting on this card, that we'll talk about later on.
Yeah,
but a very popular fighter as well. It's all for Dylan. Sorry, I've forgotten his name. I went blank for a second. This one's there for Dylan for the taking. He's got 23 fights on his record, a 17-6 record. Not too bad at all.
Yeah.
So he'd be looking to. I reckon he's going to adopt Australia as well, being that he's fighting in Australia against a Pom.
And he loves putting on the fight for the fans. And you'll see he's coming off 2 doctor stoppage and a knockout loss. And don't read too much into that, because those were really good fights, and he was getting the better of Sam Alvey until Sam just put a bomb on his chin, and it was real nice.
Yeah, it was a great punch, and that's what can happen.
Yeah, even Dylan stood up and said, "Yep, you got me. That's cool." And
that's what happens.
But he loves entertaining the fans. He's going to risk getting knocked out to knock the other person out.
Yep. Expect him to close the distance and go for a takedown.
Yep.
I expect him to try and get through on ground and pound. And his opponent, Brad's... Fuck me.
His opponent is Brad the Bear Scott, Englishman, fighting out of Wiltshire. 25-year-old lad, fighting out of Dragon's Lair MMA or MMA Lab. This is a middleweight fight too. He's had a few fights in the UFC. He's first one, he actually lost to another Australian.
Kiwi Australian.
We've claimed him already. Robert Whittaker. He was the winner of...
the Ashes Ultimate Fighter?
The Ashes Ultimate Fighter, for the weight division. We'll get on to his fights later on during this podcast. But
again, another guy who's gone win-loss.
Yeah.
Without disgracing himself.
Yeah. Lost decision to Whittaker. Lost to a guillotine against Michael Kuiper.
Won by guillotine.
Won by guillotine, sorry. Slapped one on just at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
And coming off loss first, Henrique da Silva. There's a decision at the Gustafsson Manuel fight.
So he's had a good record, in the last few years. He's only lost twice.
Yeah.
In I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and both times by decision.
Yeah.
So he's got a good chin.
Yeah.
And he's got a good gas tank.
So
this is going to be a close fight.
It will. And Scott's proficient. He's wherever it needs to go.
Yep.
He's got
very well rounded.
Yeah, he's got a few KOs, a few submissions, so you can expect him to be competent wherever it goes.
Absolutely.
But obviously, really taken sort of a step up in some of the people he's fought. Besides Robert Whittaker, he's had some, just thereabouts fights.
Yeah, absolutely.
But stylistically, this is the one that will be a good matchup for both of them, and they both got a chance to prove something here and take a next step in their career.
Yep. But again, we're going for the locals.
Yep. Taking Dylan the Villain all the way.
Dylan the Villain all the way.
Not only is he local, but he seems like a fucking top lad too.
Yeah, doesn't he?
So, all behind Dylan the Villain. Get on board, support him, get behind him, guys.
Okay, fight number 5 on the card is our second female fight of the night.
Yep.
We've got Rowdy Beck Rawlings versus Lisa Ellis. Now, Beck Rawlings, if nothing else, looks like a fighter, acts like a fighter.
Absolutely.
She's got the tattoos, the dyed hair.
The attitude.
But fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. She's a crack up on social media.
Yeah. She's Ultimate Fighter alumni as well. She was in the same series as Astro Girl. Very entertaining on social media.
Very entertaining.
Calls a spade a spade. You see she's kind of a toe-to-toe sort of fighter.
Very much stand and bang.
Yeah. She was in Invicta for a while. I'm pretty sure she actually fought for the title Invicta. The Australian people might remember she's been on a bit of media. She was one of the first ones that really got exposure for not only mixed martial arts, but women's mixed martial arts and that whole thing in general. I think right on The Project or Channel 10 or something like that.
Done a bit of local...
yeah. She's been one of the sort of poster girls, for lack of a better word, but she's one of the ones that sort of had that... She's one that brought respect to MMA from the get-go.
Never shies away from the camera, so that's good.
Yeah.
Fighting up against Lisa Ellis, the American, who's had over a 10-year career.
Yep.
So not a first fight by any stage, but a late call-up for this one.
Yep.
He's got a good record, and I think somebody that won't be giving up, and certainly not an easy fight at all, even on short notice.
She's been around 15-9 record, and especially Beck was originally going to fight... she's a Korean lady. Her last name's Kim. Believe that?
Yeah, the last fight against Misha Tate.
Fought against Misha. Real strong judo base.
Stocky,
yeah. So different matchup, but
very different fighters. Yeah,
I don't think Beck's going to care. She's going to get in there. She's going to bang. She's going to bring it 100%.
It does seem to be the kind of fighter who has the same game plan no matter who she's facing.
Yeah, and to be honest, after doing a bit of research on Lisa, I'm more excited about this fight than the original.
Than the original matchup.
It's going to be an entertaining one. Beck will lay it on the line.
Yeah,
gotta back her.
Look, you got to back the locals, is what we're saying. She might be the crowd favourite. I'm not sure if she's the favourite with the bookies, but she's certainly going to be the crowd favourite. I really wanted to get up and win because then it'd just be hilarious whatever happens next.
Yeah, and also Lisa Ellis has gone 1-4 in the last 5 fights. Not travelling too well, so you'd expect Beck to be able to put her away here.
Yeah, and hopefully Beck gets her first UFC win.
Yep.
Okay, we're getting right into the mid card now, and
getting excited now.
Yeah, this is our pick for fight of the night, which is important for those that don't know. Fight of the night gets a significant pay bonus.
Yeah, so we get a 50K check in the old skyrocket.
Yeah, so it's not a bad little note to get after the fight. So we got the local Dan Kelly versus Smiling Sam Alvey. Besides being one of the most inviting fights on the card.
Yeah.
Also, 2 very likeable fighters.
2 top blokes. And this is really conflicting for me because I've loved Sam Alvey's attitude in the octagon. Love his smile and love his knocking motherfuckers out.
And loving that he's given us a little bit of love off Twitter.
Yeah, just a all-round top bloke. But Dan Kelly.
Kelly.
We talk about top blokes.
Undefeated local judoka.
He is a judoka. I think he's a 4-time Olympian or 4-time champion.
Yeah, he's 37, but don't let that fool you.
Yeah.
He's been fighting his whole life.
9-0.
9-0, and his last couple of wins are in the UFC.
Yep.
So he's looking to make a big one.
And we were having a chat to black belt judoka Malcolm Banks last night. That podcast will be up soon, but he was saying that the thing about Dan is that he's got the biggest heart you'll ever see. No quit in this guy.
Yeah, that's what Malcolm said. He's just somebody that will outwork everybody.
Yep.
And he just will not give up.
Not afraid of adversity. Not afraid of deep water.
And a rock hard chin.
Yeah, and you look at this guy. He looks like a fucking soldier.
Yep.
He looks like he should have a backpack and M16 be trekking through some mountains somewhere.
So expect it. If he gets in close in the clinch, Dan's going to be the one throwing bodies around.
Yep.
I think that Sam will want to keep his distance.
Yep. Sam's going to want to keep him a bit of reach, stick and move.
Yep.
Look for that overhand right.
Get in, throw his punches, and get out. Because if Dan lays his hands on him, it might be going tumbling down to the mat.
If Dan can turn it into a bit more dirty boxing, rough him up, just try and be unpredictable. He's got to come in at different angles. Got to threaten leg kicks and takedowns in order to mix up Sam's timing with his striking, because don't look at Sam for you. He can knock motherfuckers out. Like, he's legit.
I mean, I think we said this is a middleweight fight, so we're starting to get a little bit up there.
Yeah.
There are some heavy hands all through this division.
And I'm telling you, I'm picking this as the fight of the night that doesn't star Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
This is the one, guys.
This is the one that people are going to be standing up and screaming for.
And the thing is, people always talk about these cards where you don't know who the fighters are, and people get disappointed. This card, you don't know who they are, but this is an awesome card. And this undercard is got every chance of being better than the main card.
And especially this fight. This is going to be the one.
This is the one. So
Dan Kelly for the win.
Get there early, watch this fight, pay attention to these guys. And the other thing is, support both these fighters, because they're going to be fighting each other this fight, but these guys are good people. Follow them through the UFC. Yeah, we've got Melbourne coming up, so they could come back and they could be fighting someone else. They got a good chance of being adopted Aussies.
Yeah, like we said, Sam had a win over Dylan Andrews in, was that his last fight out, or he's had one since then?
Yeah, one since then.
So Dan Kelly's got the weight of Australia on his back to get one back for the locals. So
just still got some room for New Zealand, and everyone else wants to jump on their back too. He's a big lad.
He's a big lad. All right, Dan Kelly 10-0 after this one.
Got Dan on it, but I'm hoping a split decision to Dan. Give them both 50k.
Yep,
I'm happy.
Fight of the night bonus right there.
Yep.
Fight number 7 and the second last on the undercard. Okay, now this is the guy who the media are going to follow around.
Yep.
Because one, he's such a stereotypical Australian bloke.
Yeah.
But two, you're going to hear about it. He was good friends and worked for Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter.
Yep.
I guarantee you he's going to be asked that question a million times this week.
And he was a coach on Ultimate Fighter Nations.
Nations, yep. Kyle Noak, we're talking about. He was also a contestant on one of the previous Ultimate Fighters.
Yep.
Versus late replacement in Jonathan Webb.
Yep.
So Kyle Noak was a bodyguard and worked with Steve Irwin. So he's
top bloke.
Awesome bloke.
Yeah.
It fits every stereotype about the typical good Aussie bloke.
He's got the Aussie sense of humour. He's a funny bastard.
So likable. He's a favourite with everybody. I don't know if you'd say what his style is. He's very rounded.
He's rounded.
Style.
Mainly probably be kickboxing.
Dirty boxing. We speaking. He doesn't mind getting in close on the clinch.
Yeah.
He's got a long career in mixed martial arts. He's been fighting for nearly 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
And like I said, worked with Steve Irwin to help pay. And he said many times that he wouldn't have this career if it weren't for the crocodile hunter.
Yeah.
Which is just another great story for him.
And this one's a welterweight fight. Kyle's 6 foot fighting out of Jackson Winklejohn MMA. And I'll tell you what, if there's one camp that knows about welterweights,
it's Jackson's
fucking
MMA.
Jackson's MMA. They've George GSP fought out of there during his reign as well as TriStar Gym, but they do his strategy. Rory McDonald is fighting there, and it's looking like he's going to be a champion pretty bloody quick.
I'm going to say, well, he's got a title fight next, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got Tom Lawler.
Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
Sorry. And you were saying that Kyle's recently changed his nickname or his handle?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking up on Fight Finder, is trying to say it's KO, but I've just got a little sneaky suspicion that we might be hearing Kyle Nasty Noak coming out.
Which, was great for a fighter, but he's not nasty at all.
He's exactly. Nice fucking top bloke.
So maybe he's trying to get rid of that.
I think if there was two people in this industry you'd have a beer with, it's probably Kyle Noak and Danny Green. You just love to get him round a fucking couple of pints and talk about the old days.
Talk about the days when they can.
Yeah.
And, his opponent is Jonathan Webb, who's a late replacement, so call up. For those who don't know, late replacement means that Kyle Noak was scheduled to fight somebody else who's had an injury or whatever else, which happens a lot, being that these athletes push themselves to the absolute limit.
Yeah.
So rather than call the fight off, the UFC puts a call out there to other fighters who can take the fight on short notice, providing they make weight and all that. So Jonathan stepped up for his first fight in the UFC.
Yep.
He's coming out of Renzo Gracie
in Philly.
In Philly Academy. So Gracie family, obviously very famous in MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu circles.
And especially Renzo in MMA. I mean, he's trained a fuck ton of good fighters, killers.
And I can tell you, there is nobody on this planet that loves MMA more than Renzo.
Yep.
He just loves the
Actually,
fight.
probably Joe Silva, the only one.
They're the only two, though. There's nobody else in that conversation.
And the other ones come out of Henzo's academy. You might know a little fellow named Matt Sarah and Chris Weidman. He's just got his black belt from Henzo.
Chris Weidman,
this week.
The current welterweight champion.
Yep, and when we're looking at Jonathan, I just want to say it quietly, but his record's pretty fucking intimidating.
Yeah, it's 9-0.
Holy shit.
Is it 9-0 or 8-0?
We've got 8-0.
8-0, and a lot of submissions and a lot of finishes. Which means that this one's going to be a fast fight. I don't know if this is going to get out of the first round.
Yeah, this one's going to be a just wall-to-wall, knock 'em, sock 'em. Look for Kyle to sprawl, defend takedowns. And
you want to keep it standing, I think.
And Kyle's got a good, strong team around him. They all done their research. Even though it's a late replacement, it's not too late to train strategy.
Absolutely,
The basic skills that Jonathan excels at are generic ones that you train for in mixed martial arts. So you're looking at submission, trying to keep it standing. Look for Kyle to sprawl, try and work sideways, stick a move, keep at distance.
So you think if it goes for a failed takedown, which is what Kyle will be hoping for, do you think he's going to stay and try and get some ground and pound, or is he going to back it up?
No, I think he'll back it up. He'll try and punish him on the way in, and if he's going to try and take down, it won't be till the second, or look for late in the round.
Yep.
He will not be doing it at the start. Yeah. He'll be looking to try and stay in the middle. When the takedown comes, look for him to try and throw knees up the middle, uppercuts, or just try and sprawl and move to the side. So
if he does go to the ground, I don't think Kyle's going to... You want to stay on top, or you want to get out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
And get him back up the standing. So again, we're going for the local.
Kyle
Noak.
On board. Get behind him, guys.
Make it nasty. Okay, and the final fight of the undercard in the featherweight division is Hatsu Hioki from Japan versus Dan Hooker from New Zealand. Hatsu Hioki he's been around the UFC for quite a while.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of losses since he's started his UFC, but he's fought some quality guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just go down his list, we've got Charles Oliveira, we've got Clay Guida, we've got George Roop.
And you look at that George Roop fight. He's on the undercard of BJ Penn versus Nick Diaz.
That's
do you remember that fight? Damn.
Was that 2011?
Yep.
He's been around. So a real vet. Not going to be an easy fight at all.
Yeah.
Versus Dan Hooker, who's in his third fight in the UFC. Got a lot of fights. Dan Hooker, he's got a record of 11-5, and he's only 25. His last two fights have been in the UFC. He has one stoppage win and one decision loss.
Yeah.
So a young guy that's going to be going balls to the wall as well, like everyone else. But if you go through his record, he's got some. He's got 2 wins over Rusty McBride.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who Rusty McBride is, but geez, that's a great name.
I know. And looking at his record, it looks like he's been, traveling the country and beating up Irishmen. Well, looks like he's been beating up tourists. That's what he's done. He's been going to backpackers. Beating up fucking Irishmen who are too hammered to be able to handle that drink. We've got 2 win over Scott McGregor. We've got 2 over Rusty McBride. We've got 1 over Nick Patterson.
So
Ian Entwistle. So
he's been getting around.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is a great example of experience versus youth. Even though he's got 16 fights in his career, he's only 25.
Yeah. It's rounded too, well rounded.
Hatsu Hioki, like we said, he's fought a lot of guys with bigger names and bigger records than Dan Hooker. I think Hatsu might be my pick for this one.
And looking at Hatsu's record, his last win was against Ivan Menjivar, which, that's no slouch.
That's no slouch.
That's a good one, but got a bit of a habit of decisions for his records. So look for him. I mean, you'd hope if he's going to try and keep this job, he's going to be going for the finish. So
I think he needs a win on this one.
And there's no secret with Dana that even the decision win isn't necessarily good enough.
Yeah, he likes good fights.
Yeah, and he's looking at a 1-3 for his last 4 fights. Yeah, all decisions except for his last loss with Anaconda.
Okay, so I think Hatsu Hioki will get the last win on the undercard.
All right, I'm going to split it. I'm going to go for the New Zealander. Does he live in the Gold Coast?
Probably.
Maybe he's Australian. I don't know. It seems like it's living there. The Hangman.
Dan the Hangman Hooker.
Dan the Hangman Hooker.
Okay, and that'll round out the undercard. So now we go on to the big fights.
We do.
The first fight on the main card, And the first fight is one that I know a lot of people, a lot of locals are really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because we've got two undefeated fighters, so somebody's going to lose the zero in this one.
Yeah.
Jake the Celtic Kid Matthews versus James Vick. Jake Matthews, 8-0 at the age of 20.
20 years old. And this dude, one of his fights with the UFC came in late notice, slapped on a submission when he was getting beat up, and just impressed everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
An absolute crowd pleaser. So much so, I think in his last fight, when the crowd started clapping, let's go, Jake, let's go, he started clapping with them.
Yeah.
Halfway through it. So, the kid's got some balls.
And he's just got heart. Like, you think usually the kids that young, they get punched in the face and get scared. And this dude just, nah.
No fear.
It's just a challenge.
Like I said, he's only 20, and this is his 9th fight.
Yeah.
He's an absolute stud.
8-0.
He could do anything in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, legit could be Australia's first UFC belt holder.
Another local lad for us too, fighting out of Nexus, or out of Epping.
Out of Epping, yeah. I think he spends a lot of time up in Sydney as well.
Yeah.
Fighting out of Nexus. And his opponent, the undefeated James Vick, who's fighting out of the team Lloyd Irvin. We'll move on.
Yep.
Again, and he's legit. This is a real step up in class for Jake Matthews.
Yep.
His first time fighting on the main card as well. So
Yep.
A big test for the Celtic Kid.
Yep. And James Vick only seen decisions in his last 2 fights. Finished the rest of them, and no slaps either. Ramsey Nijam beat him on the Shogun Sonnen card.
Yep.
And Ramsey's definitely a strong wrestler, and he managed to hook him up with the guillotine choke in minute into the first.
I guess in quick time.
Yeah, and didn't even break a sweat. Could have fought the next week.
Yeah. So look, everybody wants Jake for this one. This is again, the crowd is going to be absolutely screaming the house down.
Yeah. And with MMA growing in Australia, this is a guy you got to get behind. This guy could be the face of mixed martial arts in Australia, looking for the
next
future.
10 years.
Yeah, and he's legit mixed martial artist.
Yeah, exactly. Like, back in the old days, you have people that grew up with their own. He was a judoka who's gone into mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
He's a jiu-jitsu fighter who's gone into mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
This guy is a mixed martial artist.
Yeah.
That's where he started, and he legit could be the best fighter out of Australia.
Legit.
Once it's all said and done.
And fighting at lightweight in just a stacked division. This guy has got huge fights ahead of him, man, and fights that we're going to want to see. So jump on this bandwagon early, guys. Like, we're teeing it up for you. This is a guy to follow.
If there's a competition for the Dan Kelly Sam Alvey fight for Fight of the Night, this is it.
This is the one. Yep.
But again, we're going for the local.
We've got Jake all day. Jake all day. He's bringing it home, guys. Don't matter. It might go deep. It might take him to the 3rd. He won't give up. He'll pull through.
All right, the second fight on the card is the very popular, very experienced Anthony the Hippo
Very
Perosh.
hairy.
Very hairy. Versus Sean O'Connell. Anthony Perosh has been around mixed martial arts and the UFC for the best part of 10 years.
Yeah.
I even remember I fought at his gym in a jiu-jitsu tournament in 2001 or something when he was a purple belt.
And that went back with Elvis.
Elvis was a referee, actually,
Yep.
at that tournament. So, I mean, he goes back a long way. When I say that Anthony Perosh is a journeyman, I don't mean it as a slight at all.
No.
It shows that his longevity, and he's always just one phone call away from his next fight.
And he's just one fucking crazy move from winning any fight that he is in. Like, this guy entertains. He is awesome.
Sometimes not for the best of it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. He might win or lose. It's going to be an entertaining fight. Like, something's going to happen here that you're going to be like, wow.
Yep. He has a 7-second loss, which was unfortunate, against Ryan Jimmo, which was the first punch thrown knocked him out.
Yep.
And he followed that up with a 14-second win.
Yep.
Against the legit Vinny Margulies,
who's now the XFC champion, or what's he fighting in?
I don't know. He's fighting in Copa Piata
on this weekend
on the same day.
Who's he fighting?
No, he's fighting. It's a tournament.
Okay,
a jiu-jitsu round robin tournament.
Right. And Vinny put on a good streak to himself now outside the UFC. Yeah. So these are legit knockouts, and had a loss to Beta, which was a decision, but it wasn't too bad of a fight. He just got pretty much manhandled and smothered.
Beta's a legit wrestler.
Yeah, he is. Beta's a big motherfucker, man.
Versus Sean O'Connell. Sean, 16-6 record, fighting out of the US. He's got coming off a win.
Yeah, his nickname is the Real OC. So
Fair enough.
Yeah. Probably not going to win too many fans. Let's be honest.
Not with a name like that.
No.
So he's already fought once this year.
He beat up a DJ, I think. Matt Van Buren.
Again, another guy that likes to stand up. So if this goes to the ground, it's definitely to the advantage of Parosh.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what Parosh wants to do. I really hope he doesn't want to stand and bang.
He could want to do anything.
Yeah.
Like this dude, he's just like left field. He'll pull anything out and look for some really interesting body hair styled. Hopefully the arrow's pointing up, not down. Interesting enough, they've both been knocked out by Ryan Jimmo in the first round.
There you go. I'm willing to bet that Sean O'Connell lasted a little bit longer than Anthony Prost.
He did, but maybe copped a few more punches in that extra 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So could have, done a bit more damage.
Could have done. But anyway, again, we're on the local in this one. The Anthony Prost, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yep.
And certainly a pioneer in mixed martial arts in Australia. I really hope he gets the win, because if he gets the win, it just about guarantees that he'll be there in November down in Melbourne.
Yeah, and like we said, always entertaining fight. So, book this one, guys, and get behind our local boy.
Get behind the hippo.
Rush, yeah.
Okay, and the penultimate fight of the night.
Here we are.
Brad Tavares versus Robert Whittaker. Both of these guys, this is such a good matchup.
This is going to be awesome.
Both these guys have got really good records. We've got Whittaker's got 13-4, and Brad Tavares has 13-3. So not many blemishes on either record there. And Brad's been around for ages in the UFC.
Both big units too.
Big units, yep.
Both big dudes.
Brad's been around for about 5 or 6 years in the UFC, and Robert Whittaker is a Ultimate Fighter winner.
Yep.
In the Ultimate Fighter's Ashes, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, it was.
Ashes? Yeah.
It was, because he fought in the final.
Yeah, that's
it was
right.
one of the best finale fights in memory.
Yeah.
And he's really kicked on since then.
He's gone, he's just improved, leaps and bounds. He's just the dedication that he's shown. You can see that he gets in there and he's switched on, loves to be in there, loves the crowd.
And still young, too.
Yeah,
he's only in his early 20s.
Yeah.
He's got a great future ahead of him in the UFC.
Yeah, and legit going places, especially for Australian mixed martial arts. He's got the potential to really get himself in that top 10 and try and make some inroads, and hopefully we'll get some title fights in Australia. See how it goes.
Coming off a win, a TKO against Clinton Hester.
Yep.
Which was a great fight for him.
That was a good fight, yeah. That was really good, because Clint's huge. Clint's a big dude.
Big unit.
Yeah.
This is the perfect fight for him right now.
Yeah.
Really test. And if he gets up over Brad,
yeah.
You can start to look at getting some rankings and getting bigger fights. And hopefully in a couple of years, look at starting to shake the top of the ladder.
Yeah, and Brad's fighting out of Extreme Couture, so you can expect his wrestling's going to be tip-top.
He's going to be spot on.
He's going to be looking to try and nullify Rob's footwork, which he's excellent at. He's good at sticking and moving and doubling up the jab, throwing leg kicks in there as well. So look for Brad to do some fakes and try and get down low.
Get inside.
Yeah, Rob will need to punch circle, stay in the middle, be on the front foot. Yeah,
keep it moving.
Yep.
His last fight, he went the distance with Nate Marquette and got the decision, which is, Nate's got heavy hands.
Yeah.
It's a great win for him as well.
Yep.
So this is, it's a shame one of these guys has to lose this one.
Yeah, yeah.
They're both on the way up.
Yep.
It's going to be a great fight, and they've both got a lot on the line for it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the other two losses that Tavares has had. It was before his win against Nate Marquardt. It was against Tim Bosch, who legit wrestler as well, and he had a lot of hype coming into this weight division, along with Chris Weidman. They were both sort of progressing at the same sort of rate.
Yeah.
Weidman got the opportunities. I think Bosch had a couple of losses in a row, which quelled his.
I think he had an injury in there as well.
Yeah, and the other loss was to Yoel Romero, who was going to fight on, was it the last UFC card? But he pulled out. He was going to have the number one eliminator.
And you can get it.
Yeah, he was against I can't remember that now. Anyway, for the middleweight, middleweight shot. Yeah. So expect this one to be a real technical, mature fight.
That's a good way to put it. There'll be a lot of skill on show here.
Yeah.
There'll be no wild swings.
Yeah, both have got a lot to gain at this fight, so they'll be taking it deadly serious. Both will train real hard. So expect this is going to be the fighter's fight.
Yep.
This is the one we want to condition you for. It's going to be a good fight, technical. Look for the fakes from Tavares, going for takedowns. Rob's going to be stick and move, sideways movement, and
hopefully Robert Whittaker gets the W in this one.
Yeah, so you're going to have to punish him on the way in for the takedowns.
But whoever wins this fight is keep their eye on them for the next couple of years because this is really one of those the next step fights for them both.
Yep.
But yeah, great fight. I
can't wait.
I hope Robert gets the win on this one.
I'm going Rob with a uppercut down the middle as Tavares going for a takedown,
and then rush in to go swimming for the win.
4 minutes in the first.
In the first,
yeah.
Ooh, big call.
That's what we've got.
Okay, well that's enough of these middleweights and these lightweights.
That's enough of the boys pretend to be men.
Now we got the big one.
You don't know about Mark motherfucking Hunt.
Mark Hunt versus Stipe Miocic. Mark Hunt is just one of the best stories in sports going around. For the uninitiated, been fighting for years out of Japan. He's done kickboxing. He's done mixed martial arts. Did he fight in Pride as well?
He was Pride. And the thing is, not only did he fight in Pride, he fought the best motherfuckers on the planet.
He's fought everybody.
He's fought Vonderlei Silver. He's fought Crow Cop. He's fought, I think he's fought Shogun. Hang on, no, Shogun. I can't remember.
His last fight was Fabricio Verdum on short notice over in Mexico.
Over in Mexico, yeah. And Mark Hunt's one of the few fighters that has to cut to make heavyweight.
There's not many of them.
Yeah.
Probably just him and Bigfoot, I reckon.
Yeah.
But Mark Hunt, his contract was... the UFC tried to buy him out of his contract. He had 3 fights left.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I want to fight. I'm a fighter. That's what I do.
Yep.
He gave up a promising ping pong career.
Yeah, he's actually legit good at ping pong, man.
And he said, no, I'm going to fight. And he fought those fights. I think he lost 5 in a row at that stage or something like that.
It was when UFC bought Pride.
Yep.
And they had all these contracts, and they bought most of the contracts out, and they saw Hunt, and Hunt is a superhero in Japan. They love him. If you go online, look up Mark Hunt. If you search Hassy, Hssy, Nishikawa, he is like the super fan of mixed martial arts. It's like scary. But this is the following that the Japanese had for the fighters at this time. Like Pride would sell out a 90,000 arena. It would be the MCG with a boxing ring in the middle and just packed. And golf claps.
Yep.
Golf claps. And so UFC bought Pride. Mark Hunt had fights off his contract. They said, like he said, to buy it out. He said, no, I'm a fighter. I'm here to fight. This is what I do.
And boy, did he fight.
And oh my God, the king of the walk-off KO.
And that's what everybody's going to be hoping to see in this one.
Yeah.
He won those fights left on his contract, and UFC was left with no choice but to
they
sign
had
him
to
up,
keep him.
give him a new one.
And the thing is, Dana loves these fighters. He loves these fighters.
The guys that never say no. And that's what it is. Like you said, that last fight, Fabricio Verdum was for the interim heavyweight title.
Yeah.
He took it on 2 weeks' notice.
Yep.
Had to drop 20 pounds.
20 pounds,
in 2 weeks just to make weight.
Yep.
To make that fight. And he's like, cool.
And that was at Altitude as well in Mexico City.
Yeah, exactly.
It was supposed to be Cain Velasquez versus Fabricio Verdum.
And he was winning that fight.
Yep, he was. He looked good.
Until he went in. I think it was a good fake from Fabricio.
It was perfect.
Caught him with a
perfect.
knee. And it was perfect.
Yeah.
And caught him off guard.
Nothing you can do about that.
So
that was perfect.
He's going to want a big win out of this one.
And don't let the look of Mark Hunt fool you. This dude is technical. He's slick. He doesn't get hit too much.
But when he does, he has an iron chin.
He does. He can take a punch. He can take a kick. He's taken Krokop's kicks to the jaw.
Now, we've hinted about the UFC coming to Melbourne in November.
Yep.
I don't think it's much of a secret that if Mark Hunt wins this, he'll be headlining that card for the heavyweight championship against whoever's got it at the time.
Exactly.
And like Brenton said, the king of the walk-off KO, when he connects, he knows. That fight he had against
Stefan
Struve was one of the amazing walk-off KOs, just this big overhand comes through.
If you don't know what we're talking about, stop right now. YouTube, look up Stefan Struve, Mark Hunt.
6'11" versus 5'10".
Yeah.
And Mark Hunt, amazing. And then one of the best matchups I think UFC could ever put together was Mark Hunt versus Roy Nelson.
Oh my God.
The king of the walk-offs.
Whoa.
And he absolutely rocked him.
And you talk about iron chins. Roy Nelson is just granite.
And beard. Granite and beard.
And knocked him, face planted him.
So Mark Hunt, who has a 10-9 record, and don't let that fool you too, because like we said, he has fought everybody.
And he fought over in Japan in the old Roy's days, where everyone was juiced to the eyeballs. And I don't know if you've seen Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt doesn't take steroids. Look at him.
Hot dogs.
Mark Hunt takes food, beer, and beats motherfuckers up.
He's fighting against Stipe Miocic, who has an impressive record of 12-2. And again, not against any chumps.
Yeah, and legit boxer, legit heavy hands, real talented.
Uncle Charles Sonnen said he is the fittest, the most athletic heavyweight going around.
Yeah, and that's big words with the likes of Cain Velasquez and them in the heavyweight division.
He's got a win over Fabricio Maldonado.
Who's another legit boxer.
He's got the decision win over Roy Nelson, which is difficult. He's coming off a loss against Junior Dos Santos, who, let's face it, I mean, when it comes to the heavyweight division, JDS and Cain Velasquez are really apart from the others.
Yeah.
This guy's the one next, of course, against the interim champion Fabricio.
Yeah.
This is really looking at who's going to fight for the belt.
Yep.
Barring injuries, the other guys.
And especially looking at UFC expanding into Europe, they're looking to get the hype behind lots of the European fighters. So, especially in the heavyweight division, they seem to be, that's where they'll sort of naturally gravitate towards. Their best has always been heavyweight divisions when you look at Fedor or look at Krokop, all those fighters.
Krokop's back in, So this is not an easy fight for Mark Hunt, but he only needs to land that one punch.
Exactly.
I mean, when you talk about knockout powers and a puncher's chance, I don't think there's anybody who has a harder punch than Mark Hunt.
And the thing is, there's no real such thing as blocking a punch in mixed martial arts with these gloves. Like, you get punched in the forearms, it fucking hurts. Yeah. There ain't no blocking.
It's going to be amazing. I don't expect much of this to hit the ground at all.
No,
and the thing is, standing and banging.
Mark's going to be willing to take a punch to land that big overhand right. Yeah. And Mark's very good at changing angles too, like dropping a few levels, having that tuck in behind his shoulder, and just pushing a jab out there. And people forget that Mark Hunt is legit K1 kickboxer.
Yep.
Like, he's got tree trunks for legs. You look at his legs, man. Like, he creates earthquakes when he fucking puts those things to the ground.
And such a humble man as well.
Yeah.
He's always so softly spoken.
Yep.
A reminder of a story with Brendan Schaub.
Yep.
He was talking about, he said he's sitting at home watching the fights and he thought he'd send a Twitter message to Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark Hunt, I think we should fight.
Yep.
And Mark Hunt said, okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
He's like, cool?
Cool? Yeah. Fuck, what?
I've challenged this guy. How do I get out of this?
He's like, oh, shit.
Look, this is a really tough fight for Mark Hunt, but he has a lot on the line because, like we said, he'll headline Melbourne for the first pay-per-view UFC.
And just looking how he fought against Fabricio on short notice, he looked slick. He looked really good.
He was winning that fight, except for the 10 seconds
That's
that mattered.
You can't take that away from Verdun, man.
No.
He laid that perfectly. It was obviously planned out. There was no accident.
The fake, it's like the fake takedown. And,
it was beautiful, but Hunt looked slick. He looked really good.
Look, if Hunt's not, I don't think Hunt wins a decision.
No.
And I don't think he's going to go for a decision either.
This one, no decision this one.
He'll hopefully, the way the fight goes, he'll get a knockout in the second or the third.
Yeah.
But Stipe's no slouch at all.
And the thing is, it took fucking Bigfoot to be TRT to the eyeballs to last 5 rounds with Mark Hunt.
Exactly.
So this one is not going 5 rounds. Not a chance.
It's going to be a fight for the ages. This
kill or be killed.
Such a big fight. We want all we can say is war, Hunt.
You can't bet against Mark Hunt. This dude proves against the odds time after time. You can't back against this guy.
Can't count him out. I just want to see him headline in Melbourne and take the belt and retire with the belt on his shoulder. That'd be fantastic.
Just chill out, kick back in Sydney. Happy days.
Happy days. So that's the Adelaide UFC card.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's the end of the card. But
Yeah.
you said you wanted to do your thing.
Well, I was thinking I'll do that at the post Adelaide one.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Because then we can talk about what's happened and
Yep.
And this one I want to be kind of short so that people can sort of like know what happened, then go watch fights.
Okay. All right, we'll do something.
Yep.
So so that's the end of the card there. So hopefully you enjoy it. If you follow us on the Twitter, we've been giving out heaps of tourist advice for while you're in Adelaide.
We've got your back, guys. We've got your back.
So enjoy the fights, guys, and we'll do a review afterwards and make sure that all the Aussies get up.
Yeah, feel free to hit us up on Twitter and chat when the fights are going. We'll be watching. Let us know what you think, and we hope we've been helpful in exposing you guys to these fights that are about to happen and some of the great Australian talent that's progressing through the mixed martial arts scene.
Yeah, man, we've got the future of mixed martial arts and those that have paved the way all in the one card.
We do. And if we want to keep it, we've got to get behind these guys. We want to see a packed-out Etihad Stadium and get a UFC championship belt in Australia.
Back in November. That's it, guys. Get into it.
All right, enjoy, guys.